Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be laying out fence and popping holes on the 8-inch entryway job that we started in last week's video. This is part 2. We've already built the entryway. If you haven't seen that first video, we'll put a link in the description so you can go catch up. If you want to take your pipe fence building to the next level and you're interested in an online course on how to build pipe fence, you are in luck because we are actually in the process of creating one right now and it will be available again soon. We'll talk more about that here in a little bit. Did y'all see that? That was my 95. Taking her to the job with us today. We are headed to continue building this 8-inch entryway with 2 horizontals. I've got it built. That's the only thing that I've done so far. My dad's coming with me. He's driving the 95, and then I got Jared coming to help us. And I'm headed to pick up a skid steer right now. We're gonna rent a skid steer. We're gonna use it to pop all of our holes and hopefully stand up the entrance. I normally would stand the entrance up first, but as long as I got all my holes laid out and I know where my entrance is going to be, I wouldn't have to necessarily stand the entrance up today. You know, I could just get all my posts set, but my ultimate goal is to get all the holes popped and the post in the hole. That way I'm done with the skid steer and I can return it. I did get it for, today's Friday, and I rented it first thing this morning, and then I got it for the weekend. Some rental places, I don't know, depending on where you're at, but some rental places will give you like a day or two free for like the weekend because they're not open on the weekends or whatever. So for instance, Kennenin's here in Stillwater, Oklahoma, if you rent it on a Friday after 2 o'clock, for example, a skid steer like we're getting, if I was to rent it on a Friday at 2 o'clock, I could have it the rest of the day, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all for a one day rate. So it's kind of a little hack to save a little money. But anyhow, here we are, right here already. There she is. I think that's her right there. I think she'll be sufficient for popping holes. It's the biggest one they have. It's only like not as big as one that I would buy if I was to buy one, but it'll work for popping holes, I hope. After we got done at Kennenin's, we stopped by the railroad yard and picked up a pallet of concrete plus some. That's one of the reasons I brought my 95 today, was to bring extra tools but also load this extra concrete in the back of it. Okay, so the first thing we did when we got out to location was laid out our fence. We measured from the center of the road 30 feet. In this particular county, I believe the easement or the right-of-way of the county road was 50 feet. So we had to make sure we had at least 25 feet from the center of the road to our fence. So we just made it 30 feet from the center of the road. We've done that on each end of the property. The landowner has intentions of going all the way across the front of his property with this fence, but we're just doing it in stages, more or less, just a little bit at a time to save on the money end. Okay, if you're interested in the pipe fence course that we are creating, it will be available again soon. This is a detailed online course on how to build pipe fence as well as a couple other types of fence, but it has all the information from our experience on start to finish, from design before you break ground to the finished product of how to build pipe fence. We've got students taking the course right now, giving us feedback on what we need to change, what we need to add, and we're excited to release it to you whenever it is available. If you want to get notified whenever it becomes available, you can do one of three things. So you can go to my website, aroswelding.school, and check out the example course that Kayla has actually built. This way you can see if an online course is right for you. She's done several different videos in there, but she's also done one important video in there on like a full walkthrough on how to navigate the course. If you do sign up with your email to get this example course, make sure and check that box underneath. This way you'll get notified whenever the course does become available. You can also text the word trade school to 405-643-7176, and we will send you a text whenever the course is available again. If neither one of those fit your fancy, you can actually just get on my main email list. There will be a link in the description, take you right to it. Get on the main email list and we'll send you an email whenever it becomes available again. These two marks here are for the main 8-inch entryway. We didn't actually pull a measurement, but I believe this entryway is roughly 60 feet off the road. This is just where the landowner said he wanted it in reference to these two trees right here in the driveway. And I'm glad that we set it this far back off the road, because for this narrow of an entrance, this is a 13.5, it's probably gonna end up being like 13-foot opening by the time we hang the gates. And for being that narrow, it's better to have it further off the road. That way you can get a trailer in a little easier. You may be asking, why is this entrance only 13 feet wide? That is because that is what the customer wanted. And at the end of the day, when doing a service-based business, the customer's always right. I did suggest to him that, 16 or 20 would be kind of like more user-friendly, but like I said, at the end of the day, customer's right, and this is what he wanted for whatever reason, so that's what we built. Now Jared and I are measuring for the fence coming into the entryway, also known as a all shot is what some guys that I've been around call it, but it's just the angled part of the fence coming into that's going to tie into your main entrance. And the way we did that was we eyeballed center of the driveway, because this driveway actually kind of curves, but we just pretended that the driveway was straight, like perpendicular to the road, and we just eyeballed that center, and we measured from the center out the same distance to put our post, going out to the main fence. And then we just made it the same, and we just ran that fence on up to the entryway. I've said this a lot, and I'll say it again. When it comes to fence, a lot of it is eyeballing. You want it to look right with the land, but also keeping in mind what the customer wants. And the reason I bring that up again about what the customer wants is because he wanted to make sure the entryway was exactly parallel with the road. There's not a right way or a wrong way with fence. It's literally just whatever you want, whatever looks good, whatever you prefer, whatever's most important to you or whoever you're building it for. So we got all those holes laid out. And then, like I said a second ago, the landowner plans on going all the way to the edge of the property line, which is about a quarter of a mile, I think, of frontage that he has here along the road. But since we're only going part way, we needed to make sure the fence was going to be straight with the end of the property line, like going to be straight with the road, more or less, the same distance away from the road all the way across the front of his property. So, like I said, whenever we first got here, we measured from the road at each end of the property, 30 feet off the road, and then we done that at the entrance And then I stood about 100 foot away from the middle of the entryway with a T-post, and Jared lined that T-post up with the mark that we made at the end of the property line.
Oh, too far. What? Oh, perfect. I mean, that's it right there.
So in other words, to simplify this, we had one reference point at the driveway, at the entrance, and we had one reference point at the edge of the property line, and we took the T-post in the middle, 100 foot from the driveway, and we lined it up in line with these two reference points, with the driveway and the end of the property. So that way, whenever we pull our string to put our posts in the ground, we're going to be in line with the end of the property, even though we're not going all the way to the end of the property. This just allowed us to not have to run string or electric wire, whatever we use to line up our post, all the way to the end of the property for just this little bit of fence on either side of the entryway. Once I got the T-post drove in line with our fence, we went ahead and marked out our spacings of our post, which is 10 foot. This is just a general rule of thumb. I use 10 foot, but depending on the fence you're building, it could be less than or greater than 10 foot. Once we had all our holes marked and our spacings marked, we went ahead and ran a string line across the front, put our 12-inch rock bit on the skid steer, and then started popping holes. We left the string line up while we were popping holes, and we just held the string line back while we were drilling. But the reason I like to do that is just so every time we get done popping a hole, we can let the string line come back in line and make sure that our holes stayed in line with the rest of our holes. Because it is common for the auger to walk and start drilling and go at an angle or not be directly, depending on what the soil type is like, the auger might want to move. So it's a good idea to just keep that string line there to check, to make sure your holes are staying in line. Okay, it's the next day. We got all but 3 holes popped. We started popping these 3, but we ran into rock about 40 inches down in 2 of them, and then another one we only got about 2 foot down. So we got a 9-inch auger. A guy that I know said that sometimes it'll go through a little better than the 12-inch. We'll see what happens. Try to get a little more depth out of them holes. Stay tuned for next week's video to find out whether the 9-inch rock bit is going to work better or not. Let us know in the comments what you think is going to happen. Do you think the 9-inch rock bit is going to work better or not? So I didn't meet my goal of getting all my posts set and getting the entryway set, but we found out that the skid steer was not big enough like we were hoping it would be to drill holes. A bigger skid steer, I don't know much about skid steers, but I know it has something to do with the hydraulic flow, like gallons per second and whatnot. This skid steer didn't spin near as fast as ones that we ran previously. So if I could do it over again, I would get a bigger skid steer. Like, I would make it a point to get a bigger skid steer. That's kind of my advice, is learn from every step that you do with anything. Just steadily take note of what you need to change and change it for next time. Don't forget, if you're interested in the pipe fence course that we are creating and you want to get notified whenever it becomes available again, so you can go to my website, aroswelding.school. You can check out the example course and check that box whenever you do punch in your email and stuff to get emails whenever it is available again. Or you can text the word trade school to 405-643-7176 and you will get notified whenever the pipe fence course is available. The last thing you can do is check out the link in the description and get on my main email list. We'll also notify that list whenever the pipe fence course is available. Thank you all for watching, and remember, learn something every day.